Everybody, I am actually with Jeffrey Rease, who's with Portraits of Honor. And Jeffrey, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We're talking about shooting of a different kind. We're talking about shooting pictures. But tell people what Portraits of Honor is and how you got to what you're doing today, because it's a way that right now you're honoring World War II veterans.
It is. I'm photographing World War II veterans, and surprisingly, there are a lot of them still with us, but every day there are fewer and fewer. I think it was probably 2% of the 16 million veterans who served in World War II who are still living.
Wow, yes.
And many of those are not able to sit for a photo, and that's what I want to do. It's a way for me to use my talent to give something back as a gift to those who are with us and their families by providing a nice heirloom quality portrait of that veteran, and they can use it themselves, or their family can have it, and I give them a free print and digital files for them to use however they wish at no charge.
Well, that's what's amazing, is that you're doing this at no cost, and you can tell people where they can see the portraits online, because you really have to go and look at them, but you have some here in the studio, and to see them has been pretty incredible. How do they find you?
I created a website after I got started doing this, and it's called portraitsofhonor.us. Not .com, but .us.
Okay.
Portraits of Honor. And all of the portraits that I've done so far are on there. It should be about 70 portraits. Mm-hmm. I started this last April, and I have a list of others that I need to line up and schedule locally and around the state, as well as beyond.
Well, I noticed in the portraits, I was looking at the website earlier, everybody has some kind of, I guess memento is the right word, that they have with them. Talk about some of the ones that have stood out to you and some of the things that they bring with them to be in the photograph.
Yeah, I try to get them to provide or have with them a photograph of themselves when they were in the service during the World War II.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll have that, sometimes they'll have their medals. You know, I've had guys who have won Distinguished Flying Cross, Silver Star, Bronze Star, of course Purple Heart medals, you name it. And it's always nice to have that, as well as let people see what they look like when they were about 20 years old.
That's what I was going to know. A lot of them are holding the younger portraits of themselves in their uniform.
Yeah.
And that's also amazing to get to see them, then and now well. So any of them that have stood out to you in particular?
They all stand out. There are a couple who are living at the VA home in Pell City who I try to get by and see, because we've kind of become buddies, and they love when I come by there. Hillman Prestridge is one of them. He was with the Army Amphibious Forces, one of the very first men to storm the beaches at Normandy.
Wow.
Just almost 76 years ago now. And he's so fun to talk to, and he's an honorary Bedford boy from the National D-Day Memorial in Bedford, Virginia. And another good one is Bill Massey. He was a B-17 bomber pilot. He was shot down on his 19th mission over France. And the unique thing about that is, besides him surviving, was that
still being here, yes.
The plane exploded while he was the crew was getting ready to jump out. Amazingly, as a pilot, he didn't have room to wear a parachute in the cockpit, but when he had it in his hand when he was blown out of the airplane.
Oh my gosh.
At 26,000 feet. And so, temperature's way below zero at that altitude. He's falling, and all he has on is a jacket, and probably didn't even have gloves on at that time. So he was falling, struggling to remain conscious, for one, but
And
to
put his
get his
parachute on?
parachute hooked onto his harness. And he said that at about 3,000 feet, you know, that it's a lot warmer by then, he was able to clip on one part of his parachute to his harness, and he said, I better pull the ripcord and see what happens. And he did, and thankfully he landed in a field in France.
That's incredible. I can imagine you hear one incredible story after another. I wanted to ask you too, though, what are the reactions of family that see the portraits?
I've had some of them crying after they see that. Some of them, well, they all thank me so much. You know, there's, especially when I've had a few of these veterans who have passed away since I made their photograph, and when they decide they want it enlarged and shown at the memorial service, that makes me feel really good that it was worth doing.
Well, go to the website and look at the portraits. Contact Jeffrey if you have a World War II veteran in your family that you want to discuss with him. The last thing I wanted to point out, that you are a professional photographer, and I'm going to say this and hope that I'm not saying it rude. It's hard to photograph elderly, I think. Like, I mean, it's hard for me to get a picture of my grandmother that I feel like is as good as it should be. And these are beautiful pictures. I mean, they're just really beautiful pictures, and they just, I don't know, they really show those people off in a very special way. So we're glad that you shared it with us. Reach out to Jeff through his website, and if for no other reason, just go to portraitsofhonor.us and take a minute to look at those beautiful portraits. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.